What's up, guys? My name is Brady Adams, and this is my verbal and nonverbal tendency presentation, I guess. So I'm going to go over two verbal tendencies, two nonverbal communication tendencies, and then one verbal and one nonverbal practical thing to have a better, more effective conversation. So my first verbal communication tendency is if I'm having a conversation, I am quick to justify my statement to make sure that I don't offend anybody, because I get anxious and I get nervous when I think I'm offending somebody. And so me and my grandparents have different political beliefs. So if we're having a political discussion and there's something I don't agree with and I know it's wrong, but I think that I know they might agree with, I find myself saying oh, not that I think you guys are bad people for believing in this, but I don't like this. Or if I don't think this is right, but I don't know, I'm not saying you guys are wrong, So I just kind of have to make sure that it's I'm not losing that person in the conversation. And then my second verbal is I laugh when something, if something isn't funny, I will laugh. I'll give them a sympathy laugh, because I don't want to make them feel like they're not funny. I don't know. I like to make sure that everyone, I don't know, this it's kind of a theme here with these two verbal, but I try to make sure that everybody, that anybody that I'm having a conversation with feels okay, I'm doing something. So I'll just give them a sympathy laugh. If I know they're trying to be funny and it's not funny, I'll be haha, good one. But but not that corny. But yeah, those are my two verbal communication tendencies. My nonverbal communication tendencies is if I'm over a conversation, I will just consistently nod my head. That's kind of how you know that I'm out of it, out of the headspace. I'm not interested in the conversation anymore. I'll just kind of yeah, just keep nodding my head if I'm just uninterested. And then my second nonverbal communication tendency is if I do get kind of restless when I'm feeling I don't want to have a conversation anymore, so I'll shift my not my posture, but my stance. I'll kind of lean towards one side and then lean towards the other side, or cross my arms and lean against something. It kind of means that I'm just kind of itching I'm restless. I'm itching to get away from the conversation. So I'd like to try and change the shifting my stance one. I don't think the laughing one is going to change, just because it's something I'm choosing to do. But I like to find a better way to not make it. It's not super obvious, but I'd like to find it. I'm not proud of it. And then two things to practice: one verbal, one non-verbal thing to practice to better effectively have a conversation. So for verbal, I think that making your message clear is a great way to have a much better and in-depth conversation, because you seem you know what you're talking about. If you make your message clear, if you back it up with not evidence but more statements, it makes you seem more put together, more professional. And then nonverbal, I think eye contact and having certain facial expressions, and then having good eye contact. I have horrible eye contact during conversations. I find it so awkward just staring at somebody in the eyes for minutes on end while you're having a conversation. So if I'm talking to two different people, I'll look back and forth, and maybe I'll look past them, or because just staring at one person in the face for a good intimate conversation is just so weird to me. I know it's what you're supposed to do, but it's very weird. But have that eye contact, even though it's weird. I still try and do it as much as possible, because I look more engaged, and it just makes you look more engaged. And the facial expressions, for certain arguments, certain things during a conversation, certain facial expressions can better show that you're supporting what the other person is saying, or you're not supporting what the other person is saying. It helps convey a message without having to convey the message, So I guess that's my verbal, nonverbal conversation presentation. Thank you. Have a, great rest of your day.